Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Karena Calhoun. Super thrilled to be with you all. We have really been knocking it out in the last couple of weeks. We started off the year here on Go Be Great with no interviews, and now we are killing it, and I love it. We've had some amazing folks on the show thus far, and today I know is not going to disappoint. So, without further ado, I just want to say, Mr. Grateful, I see the name there. We're going to get into that. How are you doing today?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I think the name says it all. I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be, on this platform and to be able to, spend this time this morning. So yeah, I'm definitely feeling good. Blessed and highly
Awesome.
favored. I think that would be the term.
I love it. I love it. And we're going to get into this name, Mr. Grateful. I love that. So, where in the world are you?
I'm in a good place, right? I'm not in a perfect place, but I'm in a place of contentment, but not complacency.
Okay.
Right. So I'm pushing for whatever God has for me in the season, but I'm happy with whatever he gave me right now.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. And then where are you physically?
Physically, I'm in Pennsylvania. I live in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I'm a New Yorker at heart. You're gonna hear it in my voice. You're gonna hear it in my accent, right? I will always declare New York, but physically, I am in the great state of Pennsylvania.
Awesome. I don't think I've been to Pennsylvania at all. I do want to go to Hershey. I want to go
But she's
experience the chocolate. Have you been there?
of course. You
Really?
got to Hershey, and don't forget about Dorney Park. If you're ever going to Dorney, stop by. I'm like 5 minutes away.
They got good food? Because
Of course, they do.
listen, I'm a
It's all
foodie.
about the food, right? It's all about the
What
food.
is your favorite food?
I'm not going to say grits because we've already had this conversation on other platforms.
We're not gonna talk about the grits, y'all. This
We're
is
not going to
like,
talk about the
this
grits.
is. Let me tell you all something. This dude, I love this dude. I really do. But I can tell you that this is my mortal enemy when it comes to grits. Like, no, y'all know I am through and through country. You hear it when I'm talking, you can hear it. So we're not gonna talk about the grits. But
We're not going
anyway,
to talk about the grits.
what
But
is your favorite food?
I'm big on Caribbean cuisines. I'm
Oh,
definitely the oxtail, the curry goat kind of guy. I love my rice and peas and things of that nature. So if you're ever looking to feed me, we definitely want to go down the Caribbean lane.
I love it. Now, do you have Caribbean in your family?
Yes, actually, my both my parents are from Jamaica.
Okay, okay, awesome, awesome. That is interesting. I did not know that. Find out something new every
See, you learn
day.
something new every day.
Exactly, exactly. So I would love to know how you are currently loving on the world around you. Now we see the name Mr. Grateful. We see the tag Grateful Getaways because the experience matters. But I want to dive into this because I find it intriguing that someone would call themselves Mr. Grateful. That to me means there is something specific that you not only want to give the world, but you want to get from the world. And I think sometimes people miss both of those when they miss one when they're trying to do the other. So it sounds like you're dialing into both giving and receiving from the world. So tell
Absolutely.
us how you're loving on the world around you.
Well, starting with the name Mr. Grateful, it wasn't always Mr. Grateful. Obviously, I wasn't born with the name Mr. Grateful. Excuse me. And for a long time, it wasn't about being grateful, right? I think the name kind of signifies that shift in my life of where I went from complaints to gratitude, where I went
Mm.
from everything is terrible to Thanksgiving, right? And I realized everything around me shifted when I shifted. Everything around me shifted when my mindset shifted. So when I came to the place of just saying, you know what, I'm going to be thankful, I'm going to be grateful, I'm going to give God thanks for everything that's happening, right? Doors started opening up for me, situations started changing for me. My perspective shifted, my focus shifted. So that's where Mr. Grateful comes from. And that experience, because the experience matters, something that I have is something that I want to share with the world. I want to help people to shift that focus. I want to help people to start their day on the right path. That is why you could always find me, on TikTok early in the morning, where I'm saying, let's start our day off with gratitude. Before we start complaining, before we start asking for anything, let's just be grateful. Let's just be thankful for what we have. Because I will always say that you can always listen to a person's complaint and tell how blessed they are. Right.
Mm.
Simply by the things you're complaining about, I can tell that you're blessed. You're just looking at the things to complain about instead of the things to be grateful for. So yeah, that's where Mr. Grateful comes from. And then Grateful Getaways is a bit of a deeper story, right? So with me growing up, I didn't do a lot of traveling. We had children at a young age, and life is life. And when you're in your early 20s and you're trying to figure it out, and entry level jobs and things of that nature, travel is one of those things that we thought, I want to say thought, we couldn't afford. Travel is one of those things we put on the back burner, something we always wanted to do, but we just never believed that we could do it. And it was much cheaper then than it is now. But to get to the place where I am now and have had the opportunity to experience some things, I realized that we wasted a lot of time. Right, we wasted a lot of moments where we could have been exploring the country, exploring the world, exploring the Caribbean, and getting these experiences, because those travel experiences, it shapes our life. It changes our mindset. It changes our context. It changes the way we look at things. Being able to experience a different culture, a different scenery, a different way of life gives you the opportunity to reevaluate your life, and a lot of time points you right back to Mr. Grateful, right? that place of gratitude.
This is really intriguing, and I love that you say, let's just kind of back up a little bit. You say that when you listen to people's complaints, you can hear certain things, and I don't know that people truly understand that. And that's how I operate as well. I'm listening to what people are saying. What is your complaint? What is it that you have in your hand that you don't really necessarily know that you have or think that you have? And why are you not understanding that? So I want to ask you, just kind of touching on that a little bit, was it like an aha moment for you? Or was it like you just had to keep hitting your head? I know for me, just being transparent, I had to keep hitting my head, bumping my head to really understand that, I actually have more than I think I do, more than I know I do, more than I realize I do. So let's talk about that experience, because I think that's going to help people really understand that I don't say this, to be disrespectful, but Mr. Grateful is, we can all be Mr. or Mrs. Grateful. Like, we can, each and every one of us can be. So walk us through that process, so that we can really dial into that.
Well, when you asked that I bumped my head, I have the stitches to prove it, right? I banged my head a lot of times because you're always searching for the destination, right? You're always looking for that end result. You're always looking for that final product. And being in that culture, right? I said it before, I'm a New Yorker. It's always about the hustle and the bustle. It's always about the next move and those things of that nature. So you're always trying to get to the next thing. So you never really get the opportunity to appreciate and take stock of what you have on your plate now, because you're always worried about the next meal. You're always worried about the next adventure, the next settlement, the next whatever it is in your field that you do. So we never really take that time to appreciate the things that we have. And then we find ourselves in a place of complaining. So when I say that the person who is always complaining, you can tell how blessed they are, is because I'm from a place where I know a lot of people who don't have. So you hear someone constantly complaining how their mom gets on their nerves, right? And then you have someone's like, oh wow, you still have yours, right? You hear someone complaining, my 401k just tanked, and they're saying, wow, you have savings. Right? I hear the blessings in your complaint. This car is just, I'm always taking this car to the shop. Meanwhile, someone is standing at the bus stop. I don't like the way this food was served. Meanwhile, someone is hungry. And I hear your blessings in your complaint. And the more you complain is the more I'm saying, wow, God has really been good to you. But we don't see it that way. We complain about our marriages, and it's just like, wow, I've been trying to find somebody for a long time, and I wish, I could have somebody to get on my nerves. I wish I could have somebody. So it's that shift of focus that I believe really changes your experience. And I always say the experience matters, because the journey is the experience. right? The final destination is the end product, but the journey is the experience. And us really taking time to appreciate that journey. Not constantly, are we there yet? Not constantly, how long are we going to be here? Or, how long are we going to drive through North Carolina because it's like the longest state ever to get through it besides Florida? You know, instead of being so focused on that destination, is being able to appreciate the beauty that's around you, the landscapes, seeing the trees change colors in the fall, like all of those things. There is a blessing if we take time to take note of it, right? So,
Absolutely.
being thankful for the journey.
Yes, and while you were saying that, I just want to say, not too much on North Carolina. I might be in Virginia, but y'all know I'm from North Carolina, so
Yeah,
not
it's just
too
it
much.
just takes forever. Like, if you drive down to 95, it feels like you're in North Carolina forever.
Now, are you confusing North Carolina with South Carolina? Because living in North Carolina, when we go like further south to Georgia and things like that, it seems like South Carolina never ends. But that's just because we're starting in North Carolina. So I don't know if that's what it is, but listen. We big. We big down there.
It's
We
just a
big.
big state. It's actually a shout out. It's a shout out, right? So
Okay, I got you.
I'm
I'll
driving from
take
New
it.
York. You're out of New York in no time. You're out of Jersey in no time. You're out of Delaware in no time. You spend a couple hours in Virginia, and then you're pretty much parked in the Carolinas.
Oh my, did you say that? Listen. But anyway, so I want to just kind of go back to when you talked about listening to what people are complaining about. It took me back during the economic downturn. I had a friend talking to me, and this is case in point, exactly what you're talking about. I had a friend talking to me. Now, just being transparent, I had mega financial issues during the economic downturn, as did most people.
Right.
I was in the mortgage industry. My background is the mortgage industry. And so I found myself during that time unemployed with a young kid and single.
Wow.
And I remember talking to a friend about it, but not going into too much detail about my own personal situation. And she was complaining that her church, she was on the staff of her church. It was a mega church at the time. And she was very close with the leadership there. And she was saying that the pastor was going to have to take out a second mortgage on his home to pay for the church bills. And me sitting here literally sometimes not eating because I've got to feed my daughter, literally, like for real, was flabbergasted. Like,
Oh,
he's got to take a mortgage out on his second home to pay the church bills. And you're upset about that? Ask me when I ate last.
but exactly, that's where I am, right? And to have the ability to do such things, even though we don't want to, right? I can understand why you're upset about having to take out a second mortgage because you're obviously in a downturn, right? And a downturn for you might be an upgrade for me, from that perspective. But having those resources, my mindset is thank God that I have the ability to take out a second
Mhm.
mortgage. Thank God that I have the ability to take a loan from my 401k. Thank God that I have the ability to go to the bank and hear you're approved. Right? These are things that we are thankful for, even if we're not happy about the situation that caused us to have to do these things. The fact that we have those resources available changes the whole experience when you shift your focus. I'm with you 100%,
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah, and that is something that I really hope this kind of drives home for most of us that are listening. Even if that's not something that you specifically deal with or deal with on a consistent basis, just where are some nuances you can change your mindset, then thereby changing your language when it comes to, are you being Mr. or Mrs. Grateful? So, Mr. Grateful, thank you so much for this just incredibly enlightening conversation. I want to get to Grateful Getaways. What is that? Because it sounds like you have taken an internal experience, and now you are taking it to another level to an external experience. Tell us about Grateful Getaways.
So Grateful Getaways is birthed out of our experience. It's the experience of being able to see the world, to be able to do new things and experience the journey. We were kind of talking about it, earlier, that the destination is great. A lot of people sell destinations. We don't offer destinations. We offer experiences that you can find at that destination. And that is something that I missed out on in my younger years because life was life in, but I'm realizing that even though life is life and we can still have those experiences. So Grateful Getaways is literally here to help provide you those experiences that you are looking for in this season. And a lot of people will ask the question, well, why would I be bothered with a travel agent when there are so many booking sites and I can probably find a better price at a booking site? And I'll say, yes, you're probably right that you may be able to find a better price at a booking site, but booking sites sell destinations. They don't sell experiences. They're going to sell you the best deal. We're going to match your experience with your expectation. So I'll use cruises as an example. There's a big difference between Carnival Cruise Lines and Celebrity Cruises. Not saying one is better than the other, but they're two complete different experiences. If you're just looking for the best deal, you're going to take the one that's offering the best deal at the moment. But Carnival Cruise Line is like, it's a carnival, right? It's a party boat. It's very exciting. There's a lot of movement happening. And if that's not the experience that you're looking for, right, you're not going to enjoy that trip, even though it was a great deal, even though you was able to get the best price for it. You're not going to enjoy that experience if that's not the experience you're looking for. Also, on the flip side, yes, celebrity may cost a few more dollars, but if you're not looking for that celebrity cruise line experience, if you're not looking for that serene, if you're not interested in wine tasting and exotic meals and things of that nature, you're going to be looking at the people on Carnival saying it's turned up over there. So it's really about matching experience with expectation, and that's what Grateful Getaways is here for. I know when we first started traveling, one of the issues that we had, we would get to the destination and then we wouldn't know what to do. I don't know if anyone else has had that experience. We're sitting there, we're Googling destinations, we're Googling restaurants, we're Googling, excursions and things of that nature. And you almost waste a lot of time in your trip trying to figure out what to do next. So you're there, but you don't really get the experience that you wanted. Those were things that we experienced early on, and understanding that planning is a major part of your vacation. Right. So we want to take that stress away from you. We have tons of resources. We have tons of partners. So yes, while we can, get some savings isn't the bottom line. The bottom line is the experience, and that is what we want to offer.
At my big age of 53, I literally just had an aha moment with what you are providing. I did not realize, because I've historically not been a big traveler in the sense of going to destinations or things like that. I'll travel to different states and stuff like that. I've done it frequently, but actually going on adventures and things like that, I have not. But I never really considered the fact that there's a difference between destinations and experiences, and the reason why you would want to contact someone like you to be able to have those experiences. Because now when I think about even the times when I've gone with family to different quote unquote destinations, even here just in the States, and it was just like trying to pull teeth because, okay, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? This, that, all these questions. And me, I love experiences. Not, I'm not going to be the one that's going to just be out there all day, every day. But I do love the experiences. But my family, they're like, no, let's go do this. But they're looking at me like, okay, can you figure it out? No, I can't, because I'm the oldest. I'm just like, and so to know, so just to put a plug out there, y'all. If you're like me, if you're the oldest and you're the one that it always falls on of trying to figure out where you're going to go and what you're going to do, what is the itinerary and all this other stuff, please contact Mr. Grateful.
And here's the great
Just go
part
ahead and
about it.
do it.
You can contact Mr. Grateful, and you don't even have to tell him that you contacted Mr. Grateful. You can be the hero, right? You call me, hey, what are you? And I'm telling you, hey, go here, do this, do that. Or if I don't know, I say, give me, 24 hours. Let me research it, and then you can look like you know everything. And I'll be glad to provide you with all the resources that you need.
Now, for the spouses, I'm not gonna say men, I'm not gonna say women because it don't really matter.
Mhm.
If you are trying to set something up for your spouse and you
Yes.
want it to be a surprise, because I'm gonna tell you, my family will tell you, and I'm speaking today from experience with so much of this. My family will tell you it is difficult for them to surprise me. When I say difficult, because listen, I hear God and I hear him very, very well. Not that he gossips, but I hear. And so surprising me is like next to none. But I believe Mr. Grateful can probably make that happen. I believe he can make that happen. So I
Exactly.
just,
Handling, not to jump in, but handling
go
all
ahead.
of those, it's a whole bunch of emails, right? There's a whole
Yeah.
bunch of communication. There's a lot of quotes, and when you're doing that all on your own, it's hard to keep that a secret, especially if you're in an open, honest relationship, right?
Mhm.
Where your phone's constantly ringing, you're constantly right. To have that centralized to one person,
Mm.
definitely helps making those experiences a lot better.
And even with that, I just different things keep coming to my mind. I remember when we purchased our second home and it was a fixer upper, and so I was literally trying to work a job, run a business, and talking to contractors, 4 and 5, 6 contractors a day for different things that had to get done in the house. You talking about something that just was like I was about to blow a gasket. So I could imagine, you know, so I'm just giving you all just different scenarios of how your life can be changed. So, Mr. Grateful, any last thoughts that you want to share with the audience? And I just want to let you all know that we will have in the show notes how to contact Mr. Grateful, because we do know he's going through some revamping, so we don't want to put anything out there that's going to stay out there. We just want to make sure we can update the show notes, so the show notes will show how to actually get in touch with him. So
Amazing.
any last words?
I just want to say that the experience matters. Whether we're talking about the way you look at things or the way you travel. I think it's this season for you to take another look at how are your experiences and
Mm,
how are you enjoying the journey. We'll get to the destination. The destination will be there. And when you get to the destination, you'll be concerned about the other destination. But you spend more time on the journey than you do on the destination. So let's take that opportunity to make sure that we're making the best experiences that we can.
I
Thank
love it.
you.
I absolutely love it. Well, Mr. Grateful, thank you so very much for coming by the show and talking with us. So, folks, this has been another great episode of Go Be Great with Coach Karena. Please remember, check the show notes on getting in touch with Mr. Grateful. We will definitely make sure we have that updated as necessary and needed. So, I will see you all on the flip side. Bye for now.